Right, thumbs up from Jake. So we're ready to go with episode number, I don't know actually, is it 42? I haven't checked. Of a Podful of Saints for the 2021-2022 season with myself, David Tavener, over there waving a thumb, Jake Ellacott.
Hello, Dave. Hello, everyone. Hello, Lee. Hope you're all well.
And hello, Lee Wood, who's in another corner of St Albans.
Hello, gents. How are you feeling today after yesterday's debacle?
Yesterday was fine. Friday was my issue.
In comparison to Friday. Right, okay. Okay.
It's going to be interesting to see which we decide was the better of the two games, if the word better can be applied to either of our performances. Right, we go back to Good Friday. Home to Chelmsford City. Very good. Home Chelmsford City on a disastrous run, 9 games without a win. We got back into the playoffs the week before with a 2-0 win at Hungerford Town, their 8th home defeat of the season, of course. And so it was all set up for a St Albans City win. And I tell you what, for half an hour, I thought it was an enjoyable game of football. It was open. Both sides had chances. The only problem was we never looked like scoring. And in that time, we conceded 2 goals. And it was pretty much done and dusted then, wasn't it?
Just an absolute disastrous weekend for the Saints, really, totally. You know, we went into it full of joy and excitement, didn't we, last week? We'd built ourselves up because we're idiots. And yeah,
we are idiots. You know what? We are bloody idiots. Why do we do this to ourselves every single week?
I don't know. But and then
sorry, mate.
It all came crashing down, didn't it? On Friday, you know, I said, Dave, when we spoke about the game, I said, you know, I'm confident, but you know, we've put in some terrible performances against sides battling relegation this season, and we appear to have done it for another occasion. I'm not sure how many times now this season at Clarence Park, but it is just totally unacceptable, isn't it? It's just awful. You win at Hungerford, you put in all that hard work, you get yourselves back in the playoff race, and you play like that. And Chelmsford, it was easy for them in the end, wasn't it, really? You know, but simple defending from set pieces, free headers from crosses, just so easy and disastrous. And I'm going to let Lee speak now before I get even angrier.
Jake's got a vein at the side of his head. It pops out when it gets really angry. It's so large. It's got its own postcode. It's really, really big. I mean, fellas, how do we dissect this? Because, you know, as you say, Dave, Chelmsford on actually an atrocious run of form. But, Jake, you've hit it on the head, mate. We considering the height we have in our side, we can't defend set pieces. It's absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal. I'm with you, Tavs. I quite enjoyed the game to start off with. There was some good passages of play. And there was a little bit of showing for City that it might just, you know, be a really good day. Weather was glorious. Crowds were in abundance. But then as soon as they got there first, the second one seemed all too easy. And from then on, we were never really in the game at all, which was disheartening, really, because I don't even think we bothered trying after that.
It's funny, the last minutes of the first half, I thought we were a disgrace. We needed a goal back before half-time. And what did we do? We just tried to keep possession. We were going across the line on the halfway line. We were going back to the goalkeeper. We were doing damage limitation. I thought this side was pushing for a playoff place. And so when you get faced with something like that, you've got to go for it. You've only got a handful of games left. You can't tip-tap around on the halfway line. We threw whatever initiative we could have gained in those final few minutes. We threw it away. And the second half was so comfortable for them. Ian actually, in his post-match interview, Ian Anderson, he was more critical of the first half performance than the second. I thought the second, we had more chances than we did in the first, but we were so tame. They had the game in the bag. They knew it. We all knew it. And the damage was done. Well, the damage was done psychologically. We threw the towel in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Ian's spoken a few times in this run-in about getting the excitement back and the attacking football that kept us up during his first spell, during his first season with us. And yeah, as you say, that ending of that first half and most of the second half, we just didn't really go forward, did we? It was sideways, backwards, just really disappointing. You know, big crowd, good day, go 2-0 down, whatever. Show a bit of fight. And I know we had the penalty appeal, which looks like a terrible decision watching it back on the highlights. Absolutely terrible from the referee. But that's no excuse. You know, you've got to show a bit of fight and passion and drive. And just, it was inept, wasn't it, from the players? Unacceptable. And we don't deserve to finish in the top 7 at all. Again, another terrible performance against a team that we should be beating.
I just thought we were so pedestrian, fellas. And Dave, you touched upon Ian's post-match there. He looked a man just lost, didn't he? You know, and the thing is, this team is just adding value to the argument that this is just another team under Ian Allinson of ifs, buts, and also rans. You know, it's what is his legacy going to be at City? You know, is it going to be you come out of the season all guns blazing and then you just fall away catastrophically towards the latter half, season after season after season? The players aren't good enough at this level. The players aren't. We've got some fantastic individuals. We're not playing as a team. Don't give me that. You know, we should be beating sides who haven't won in 9 games. You know, we've got 4 points out of a possible whatever it is now. It's just unacceptable. But the thing is now, where do we go? Where is the progression? There is none.
There is none whatsoever. We can come on to signings during the season, which have hampered our progression because they haven't happened. But you say about 4 points from so many games. You go back to the Eastbourne Borough game at home, a week before Forest Green. We've had 26 league games since then, and I think our form since then puts us down in the bottom 5, something like that, with the other teams who have played the same number of games. That is not a bad run. That is a bad side, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more than a run, isn't it? It's relegation. We've talked about it a few times in recent weeks. It is relegation form. You know, I really don't know how we are in this playoff race. Other teams have kept us in it, really, because, you know, we're not terribly far off the likes of 15th, 16th as well. It is just absolutely dreadful. And it is bizarre. You know, that Forest Green game, and Lee, you talk about legacy for Ian. You know, he's always going to have Forest Green, Carlisle, etc. Good FA Cup runs.
2 games out of 4 years, though, mate.
No, I know. But, you know, this season we've had some good highs. You know, Forest Green, unbelievable memories. But you've got to follow it up in the league in the second half of the season, and we just cannot capitulate. I mean, I can't get my head around it. I don't know what's happened, and I don't think really anyone else can particularly understand it.
Well, one of the things we've talked about in recent weeks is the goals we've conceded from headers in our own penalty area. Even when we haven't conceded goals, we have not been winning the headers there. First 2 Chelmsford goals, ball comes in, header. And one of our tactics I don't understand, I've moaned about it probably more than you've got. At corners, we put everybody back. At Hungerford, we left 2 players up. We won 2-0. Now, that on its own did not contribute to the win, but it puts them on the defensive. Going to Chelmsford, and again on Monday, everybody back again. We just go so defensive, which is not the strength of an Ian Allinson side in the 6 years he's been here at all. His strength has always been to attack and trying to defend. It just isn't working, as we keep proving week after week.
The thing is, go on.
Sorry, Lee. I was just going to say, you know, last week, you know, we talked about on the podcast, Chelmsford caused trouble from set pieces at their place earlier in the season. If we're pointing it out, why is nothing being done about it? I'm sure they have worked on it, but it was just like, what on earth? Like watching that first one go, and it's like, oh, a corner, a goal. It's just unbelievable. Sorry, Lee.
No, not at all, mate. I'm just thinking like the law of averages would suggest if you put 21 men in our penalty area, chances are, you know, someone's going to bloody get on the header. It's just fantastic. It's just fantastic ineptability that we continue to do this. Look, we don't want to sit here week after week and lump on the side, right? Far from it. But we have to react to what we see. And I tell you what, Jake, back me up here, buddy. There were some pretty harsh reactions on the terraces either side of us on Friday. From fans, from new fans, you know, because all they've seen is loss after loss after loss. Not the majority of those go to the away games. So at the minute, all they're seeing is just, you know, mindless defeat after mindless defeat.
No, you know, we get annoyed because, you know, we love the club, we love the team, we want us to do well. Football is about winning. It's about being entertained. Friday was none of that at all. And fans, you know, shouldn't be turning up and getting that from, you know, again, just get yourselves into the race with Hungerford. And then you do that 5 days later. just really, really confusing. And just like, yeah. And we talked about Ian's post-match, very honest, very realistic. But, you know, it's too late by that point. It's too late. You know, the players have got to be read the riot act beforehand. There's no point doing it afterwards.
You say talk about fans turning up. It's phenomenal. We just lost 3 successive home games, haven't scored in any of them. And in our last 15 league games, we haven't scored in 8 of them. Terrible statistics. The worst run goals scored in the league for 11 years, relegation season as it was. And yet our attendances are incredible. How come?
Well, I think partly people coming back from COVID, the appeal of the club after the FA Cup, and then Shikari and the Clarence Park match day experience. You know, people seem to be enjoying it similar to Dulwich, and you know, fair play to those fans that keep coming, because
possibly also bribery and the threat of violence. You know, that could always be thrown into the mix as well, boys.
Previous seasons, we've gone on runs on this, like the crowds are just absolutely gone. So I think fair play. I think out of anyone at the club this season, the fans deserve a round of applause for sticking with the team, being behind the team, even during this awful run second half of the season.
Yeah, getting back to the Chelmsford game. First goal scored by Charlie Sheringham. He's 33, 34 now. Could be the last time we see him there. He's caused us troubles down the years, as we know. Second goal scored by Cameron James, a header again. What about the third goal, though? Louis Dunne, great run down the left. Thankfully, nobody bothered to put a tackle in, so we could watch him have a this marvellous run and think the ball in there. What a great goal.
It was lovely, wasn't it? It was like Gareth Bale-esque from going on with probably 10, 11 years now for Tottenham. Absolutely superb. Fair play to him. But as you said, you know, you've got to challenge him. You've got to tackle him, surely. How is he doing that again? And it's not like we were really pressed forward for that second half. How is he getting all that space and time to bomb down the left when we weren't over gambling, were we, by that point?
To be fair, I mean, we bumped into Kieran, didn't we, in the Crown afterwards, and he apologised because he got absolutely roasted, you know. And the fact is, this fella's been allowed to run 30, 40, 45 yards, you know, unchallenged, walked into our box and finished the job. I mean, that can't happen for a team that's supposedly pushing for the playoffs.
No, but I think we should say great goal anyway, though, to be fair. You know,
yeah,
superb goal. You know, we can't slag everything off, but yeah. And, you know, Chelsea fans had a nice day out. So
if it was down the other end, we'd be singing the praises of that goal till the cows come home, wouldn't we?
Of course, yeah. But it's just, you know, that third goal, I can forgive. Brilliant effort. It's the first two. Those are dangers that we pointed out, everyone was aware of. And it was just too easy.
Yeah. It's funny, our last 3-0 defeats, last 6 3-0 defeats have all been down the pub garden. Sorry, I mean Clarence Park.
It's the home form. I don't know what's happened. I can't make sense of it. I don't know, Lee. I don't know if you can think of anything, but I don't know if it's the pitch or whatever. It's just the players just don't turn up at Clarence Park. And when you're a playoff side, you know, and you're chasing the playoffs, you've got to make that home, you know, turf yours, because otherwise you can't rely on going away every other week to be picking up points.
I think I don't want to sort of like leap ahead too far, but Ian mentioned, I think, in the post-match at Hampton, that we've got some cup finals now coming up, and that he's confident his players are going to turn up for those, because his players turn up for the big games. I'm sorry, fella, but they haven't been turning up for the past 4 months. So what have you seen on the pitch that is any way, shape or form giving you the confidence that just they're going to turn up for the next month? Home form, I don't know. Ian's really highlighted in his post-match the importance of individual errors costing games. And, you know, whether it's people not picking up the markers, people not picking up the runners, I don't know what it is. But the fact of the matter is, we are where we are. And it's so disheartening to have one really good result followed by 2 shambolic ones. And that, unfortunately, has been the tale of our season. Well, certainly up from the autumn onwards. But where do we go from here? Seriously, where do we go from here? Because we can dissect games until we're blue in the face. But for me, too many players aren't good enough for St Albans City if we are genuinely interested in progressing.
Well, we can touch on it again, can't we? Even before we get to a Hampton game, we can look back over the season and say, why didn't we get a right back in when Devante Stanley broke his leg in third, fourth game of the season, whatever it was. Michael Clark, we knew was going to be out for months. We didn't bring anybody in till when, what's his name, Jones turned up, Corporal Jones. And elsewhere, where have the signings been? Bailey Brown's come in. Then we've got another loan player from Wrexham, Cameron Green. It's the fewest number of signings Ian has ever made during the season. I say ever, in his 6 seasons at Clarence Park. And yet there we are, we've got more money than this club has ever had, full stop. So why haven't we done it? I go back to the suspicion the club didn't want it because they were waiting for the new ground. But surely if a club's telling the manager you can't sign players because we don't want to go up yet, but surely that can't happen, can it? And I think they dispelled it at the fans forum as well.
Yeah.
So why haven't we signed players?
I don't know. I don't know if it's because Ian likes the togetherness in the squad and the dressing room. I mean, you've touched on that before, haven't we? You know, but otherwise there's not much makes sense really. I mean, David Noble, you know, how long was he out? Central midfielder. We've desperately needed a central midfielder, and the decisions this season transfer wise, they haven't really made sense. And you know, it's not just Ian as the owners, of course. We've got a director of football. We've got other staff as well. We've got a scouting team. You know, there's a lot of people out there that are meant to be looking and signing players for us, and it just hasn't happened. You know, and it's
Are they the right people though, Jake? In your opinion?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, based upon the evidence of lack of signings this season, you could argue that they're not. But you know, the squad has not been strengthened. After the Forest Green game, you've got a chance to strengthen them. Money's come in, second in the league, third, fourth in the league. However, you know, we had a shaky run after Forest Green. You could understand that after such a big game in the second round of the FA Cup. But then you strengthen and you look to push on. And of course, we don't expect to be winning the title, but you know, at least compete for a top 7 finish. And we are competing. But the mad thing is, we're only 3 points off the top 7. Don't know how. That's insane. But it's just not been good enough. And we've looked at, you know, clubs like Eastbourne. When we went down there, 2 months ago at this point, I think they were behind us, weren't they, Dave? And now look how far ahead of us they are. And that's because they've improved and strengthened.
The thing is, though, right? Ian said at the fans forum that Lawrence has made money available to strengthen the side. The money's there, okay? And we know Ian has traditionally not had any qualms about getting players in when shit's hit the fan. So what is different this season? You know, what is the one key factor that is stopping him from getting players, or has stopped him from getting players? Because he must see what's in front of him. You know, I know he's getting on a bit. He's got their massive bins on, but he must see what's in front of him. You know, Chris is right next to him as well. You know, he's a highly respected coach. He must see what's in front of him to go and maybe identify a key area that needs strengthening. And it's just absolutely bizarre how the season has unfolded. But yeah, as we've said here, the fans keep coming back. Just crazy.
You made a great point in there, Lee, about have we got the right people to bring players in? Take Ian out of the equation, which you shouldn't do because it should all be down to him. But now we've got a director of football, Dean Austin. And since he came in, we don't know when he took over that role, but we've not brought a player in. So what? And he's got contacts for agents. So what on earth is going on there? That makes no sense whatsoever. I had a second point on that, which I've completely gone out the window. Oh no, it was at the fans forum. They talked about players got to be the right profile for the club. What the hell does that mean? It's all my notes this week. I picked out 2 players. If ever sort of profile we're looking for, then you are going to struggle to get that sort of player. But what is as an Albans City player that they're looking for? Why not just get a footballer who can actually win us a game?
Well, don't forget though, Tabs, we're now a brand, aren't we? As rather than just a football club. No way, you laugh, mate, but it is. They're trying to create a brand, St Albans City brand, and with that is an ethos, how you conduct yourselves. It was really interesting to hear Sean Dyche, who got sacked from Burnley this week. His sort of his key, points behind what makes a Burnley player. You know, respect and the way you conduct yourselves and the way you speak to people, the way you dress. And look, that is, I think that is along the route that St Albans City are trying to sort of model themselves on that. I know what you're going to say, but I'm all for the professionalism within the club, and I think that will take you so far. But I think don't try and run before you can walk, because we're still a non-league football club, and we're still not getting the results. And without results, you can have as much branding and as much ethos and ethics behind your club as much as you like. But when we're in the Southern Prem, things are going to get a bit dicey really, quickly.
So what we're saying, any players we wanted to sign, they don't know how to conduct themselves, so we can't sign them for St Albans City. That is the profile of the brand we're going for. And yet there's one going here at the moment in our club who's still signed to the club. I shan't mention his misdemeanours, but that surely doesn't fit the profile. And one we've had recently who's currently locked up as well. That surely doesn't fit the profile. But they came into our club, so come on, what is this profile nonsense? A player knows how to conduct themselves when they're with you. They know what they should and shouldn't do. And this rubbish about suiting the profile, it's nonsense. As you say, trying to run before you can walk, Lee.
It happens though, mate, and I would never, ever, I haven't got the problem with the club trying to, rebrand themselves. But you are, stop trying to pull the wool over people's eyes and think you're something that you're not at this stage. Okay, well, fine. When we're in the Vanarama National League and we're tearing it up, no problem. Fine, because you've earned that right to get that far. You've earned the right based on the morals you're installing into the club. Excuse me. But you're losing games left, right, and centre. For me, the future and the ethics behind what makes a football club is fine, but win games as well, because you're losing so many people. You're leaving so many people behind. If this is the way you really want to sort of portray yourselves, it's just win games of football, fellas. We're a football club.
But when an owner says at a fans forum we're a bigger club than Stevenage, when you look what's gone on in the second half of the season, you just make yourself look a fool.
Well, yeah, but
Should we move on to Hampton? Happier days.
I think we better.
Right. Easter Monday, away to Hampton and Richmond Borough, 0-0 draw at the Beveree. The first 13 and a half minutes, I thought was highly entertaining. And we had a plan. We played like Billericay did against us at their place, hitting quick balls aimed at a particular player. They weren't just hit and hope. And these long diagonal balls, either to Joe Neal or Zane Banton, it looked like it was going to work. Nothing came of it in the first 15 minutes, and it just fizzled out into the most dreadful 0-0 draw imaginable. Our team, 5 changes from Friday, and a few changes amongst those 5. A few surprises amongst those 5 as well.
Yeah, and I say, I thought for a fair bit of the first half, it worked for me until a good spell at the end that Hampton had. And Hampton did hit the bar, actually. Easy to forget they did hit the bar. But, first, as you say, Dave, 20 minutes, I was quite content with it. Nice thing for me was, someone like Johnny Goddard actually having shots from the edge of the box, sort of taking a touch and shooting. We didn't do that at all against Chelmsford. We haven't done that a lot at all. And, Alan Julian made some decent saves from it. They weren't spectacular saves. But then it just sort of fizzled out, really, didn't it? I think, Ian talked about changes, and the changes arguably worked. We didn't lose 3-0. We kept a clean sheet. But, the game against Hampton, the result against Hampton isn't the one costing us. It is the games against the bottom 5. But, yeah, overall at Hampton, happier myself. But, I thought it was a shame, especially second half, that we didn't come out with a bit more oomph again. After losing Friday, you've really got to win at Hampton. We've got to show a bit of oomph, bit of get going. And just didn't happen, did it?
David Noble didn't play, which is no surprise after playing 75 minutes on Friday. Both the fullbacks were dropped, Evan Jones and Cameron Green.
Yeah,
not even on the bench.
No, it was interesting. Just dropped out the squad, and I don't think you could complain about it after their performances on Friday, could you? I mean, I thought most players on Friday didn't deserve really to be starting on Monday, and you might be harsh to drop them from the squad, but we've only got 5 subs. Ian's there to make these decisions. They might seem harsh, but the fullbacks that came in, I thought they did a job on Monday against Hampton. So Cameron Green and Jones, I don't think they've lived up to what we expected, especially Green. I think came in very highly respected after performances in the National League. The club really bigged up his signing, at a time when people thought maybe we should get a midfielder instead, considering we've got someone like Alex Lancashire at left back. So I don't think Green's really stepped up. And Jones, I think he's found it a little bit difficult at times bit of a step up from, you know, academy football. And yeah, I thought, you know, dropping them both, I thought it worked for me on Monday.
One of the other changes, Lee, which you're probably waiting to get onto, we've had 26 players play in the league for us this season. 25 of them have contributed a total of 25 goals. The other one player has contributed 25 on his own. He was dropped to the bench at Hampton. Does that make any sense to you?
It suggests to me that we were looking to avoid defeat. But it makes no sense in terms of if you want to genuinely win a game of football, then you leave him out. But I don't know. It's I try not to look too much into the running to the football club now, Tabs, because you're always sort of second guessing yourself. And I think it's desperate times. And you touched upon it, mate. Do we want to get into those playoffs? Do we want to progress? Do we want to go up? Do we want to, you know, achieve success wearing the famous gold and blue? What I would say, mate, is that it smacks to me of we didn't want to play it as expansive because, you know, green offers that width and that energy down the sort of flanks, and maybe we want to sort of keep it a little bit close knit, keep it a little bit tighter, make ourselves hard to beat away from home, which I don't really mind. But as Jake said, when you got absolutely done at home for the previous game, having that mentality of trying to get some points, a point when really we needed 3.
Now, on Jeff's day, if I had heard that he was picked up a knock on Friday against Hampton, you know, that's what I'd heard. But then he came on, didn't he? You know, he came on for, was it 10 minutes in the end? Even though when he did come on, he was left standing on the sideline for a good, 4 or 5 minutes, I'd say, Dave. There was a couple of chances to bring him on. Just sort of left him there standing. Quite interesting, I thought. You know, I thought Joe Neal, Mitchell Weiss didn't too badly. They won, like you say, Dave. They won a lot of the diagonal balls, the headers. You know, they did a lot of that. We know they both like to run, and neither of them really had a massive chance. But now I remember Joe Neal. I mean, what a miss that was. I'm sure you'll know the one I'm talking through. Great through ball, sent it miles over the stand. But otherwise, you know, especially second half, there weren't many chances really. I don't know what Sean would have changed second half if he'd come on a bit earlier. But dropping him, you know, reading that team before the game really was a surprise. And I don't know if it's because of injury. I don't know if you know anything else, Dave, or if it was just sort of just sending a message that no one's undroppable.
A very, very reliable source. You couldn't get a more reliable one on this subject. Suggested he was not injured. He was not carrying an injury. And so we're our last chance saloon, and I think we wasted it yesterday by not playing him and bringing him on with 8 minutes to go. Our substitutions this season have not made a lot of sense. We keep leaving them so late. Players are coming on, they're not into the flow of the game. You're taking off players who, whoever well or badly they're playing, they are in the flow of the game, and these ones coming on have got so little time to get into it, which is probably why we've only scored 1 goal in the league from our substitutes this season.
Yeah, and I thought another substitution that didn't make much sense was Zane Banton being brought off Liam Sol. I don't know what you thought, Dave, but no, Zane didn't have an amazing game. No one did at Hampton, but he was at least willing to travel forward with the ball and move towards defenders. And Liam Sol, you know, he's had a few opportunities this season. He's not done it. But at the same time, do we really expect him to suddenly turn it on in this sort of game? Not really, no. Why not leave Zane out there?
Well, we brought him on 89 minutes and plus 4 minutes of injury time. So no matter how good he is, it wasn't fair on Liam. He couldn't do a thing yesterday. No. He couldn't win that one at all. Looking at the players that did come in at Hampton, Joe Neal, Johnny Goddard came back, Joy McKenna, Dave Deju came back into the side, 109th game, first time as captain. And Alex Lancashire, and to me, Alex was the best of the 5.
Yeah, I'd argue the defenders that came in yesterday didn't really do much wrong, did they? I'd argue. No. You know, I thought all 3 came in and probably showed maybe why they deserve a chance in the team, especially Big Dave and Alex, you know, potentially. But otherwise, and I think, you know, the dropping of Alex Lancashire and the signing of Cameron Green, I think when we look back on the season will be a bit of a mystery after Alex Lancashire's great form at the start of the season. But yeah, defenders yesterday didn't do much wrong. Michael Johnson didn't do much wrong. We didn't concede from a corner or set piece.
Here's a point for you, fellas, right? Because we've absolutely torn the team apart for their performance against Chelmsford, and we are often criticising that players aren't reactionary and the club isn't reactionary and Ian doesn't do anything about it. But now he's made these wholesale changes and he's got a point out of the game. So should we at least be celebrating the fact that we are trying to change it? We are trying to stop the rot, and Ian is looking at the likes of Jeffers does that work up on his own. You know, can we at least try and get some positivity out of that solitary point? Because that point and those changes that Ian made might be the difference between us going into playoffs and not.
I think we have taken some positivity there, Lee, with what Jake said about defenders did well when they came in, although Alex actually playing further forward down the left. We have praised them. We're running out of games to get back into the playoffs here. You need your top goal scorer there, even if he's not firing 100% now. Crikey, there's plenty of other players in that side who are nowhere near 100%, yet they're in. And also against Chelmsford, rather, I think he had more shots on target than anybody else. So he's still our biggest threat. And to not play him at all, it sends out the wrong signals to everybody.
No, I agree. I think, Lee, I think there is definitely positives out of the game at Hampton. Hampton are a decent side, and we didn't lose. We kept a clean sheet. Definitely positive there. But, if I'm Ian now, I'm sort of going into another massive game at Dartford next Saturday. I wonder, what is my team? What is my best team now? What do I do? And with 5 games left, and like he said, 5 cup finals, and it was 7 cup finals at the Fans Forum, 7 or 8, what is our team now? What is the best team, strongest team to go into this final run-in? Game against Dartford, I don't know who I'd pick at the minute. And it's very difficult for Ian.
Well, Tav, sorry, mate. I know that you had like a Freudian slip there when you mentioned haven't. There was a rumor going around on a couple of forums this week that Mr. Jeffers may be attracting the management eye of haven't. So, and obviously this is the time now, end of the season, silly season starts to sort of creep in terms of players moving on, transfers, people getting tapped up left, right, and centre. I'm not suggesting that's what's happened here, but it's been on 2 separate sources now that Mr. Jeffers may be moving down to the coasts in the summer. But obviously that's, take that with a huge, huge pinch of salt, because I think he's very valued here. But it's just interesting the fact you made that Freudian slip about Haven't and Jeffers.
Of course, haven't pinched our last top goal scorer, Joey Schifano, who's didn't really hit the heights down at Wesley Park and moved on to Oxford City. I don't think it'd be a great big surprise if Sean were to leave us this summer. One hopes not, because he really has hit his best form since he joined us. His record with us is far better than it was with any other club, although he had one good season with Chelmsford. Losing him would be a big loss for next season.
Yeah.
But the playoff places, going into the weekend, there were 7, possibly 8 sides changed in one place. Haven't didn't play on Friday, but they made up for that with a 3-0 win on Monday, with a bit of help from Eastbourne Borough, having 3 players sent off. And I would say, realistically, it's only 3 clubs chasing that place now. Haven't, are in pole position, Chippenham Town and St Albans City. Realistically, we've got Dartford and Dorking next. We could be blown out of the water by 5 o'clock this coming Saturday. But I think all the others are relying so much on Haven't slipping up, the ones behind us. It's Haven't to lose now, isn't it?
Yeah, and after Dorking, Oxford City, another team well inside that top 7. Very, very difficult run in now, isn't it? And that is why last week we talked about it. You've got to pick up the points this weekend. Points on the board, and then see what happens in the tougher games. And sadly, we've wasted that opportunity. I think we can all admit that. I'm sure people will say, oh, you're far too negative on this podcast. But the results, over this weekend have not been good enough. We are in a playoff chase. You've got to be putting your body on the line to win every game at this stage. It might be a cliche, but you've got to. And, we're not. And you talk about Sean there, he's had a great couple of seasons, hasn't he, for us? So, there you go. But I say, Dave, we talked also about other teams will drop out over this weekend. It's happened, and we just haven't capitalised.
Yeah. Other clubs have, as you say, slipped up again. And it's been going on for weeks, which is the only reason we're in there. We've lost more games than we've won now. So we should not be in contention at all. But is it much of a muchness in the table, or is it a poor division this year that has kept us in there because no sides are strong enough to really push on apart from the top 2 or 3?
Yeah, I think outside the top 5, maybe I don't think it's particularly strong division this year, and I think we've seen that. It's just the way the Saints are still battling for it, up until Forest Green, we deserve to be in and around there, but since then just haven't been. And as I say, what's the form? It's just terrible. It's just, you have no right to be in there. If we do, we're still only 3 points off. We've still got stuff to fight for, and there's clubs below us that would love to be in our position with a couple of games to go, so let's go for it for the final few. But all my confidence has just been sapped from the Chelmsford game, and I think that is why we are just so down about it.
There we go.
Bring Sean back? Do you bring Sean back on Saturday? Do you bring David Noble back in?
I think Sean, yeah. Johnny Goddard's an interesting one. I thought he did all right at Hampton, created a couple of openings, but then where does he fit into the team with Nobby? Sean's got to. Hopefully he can repeat that screamer he scored down at Prince's Park last season behind closed doors. That would be fabulous. But,
what shot was deflected?
Oh, that wasn't deflected, Dave. Come on now. Come on now. But, I think you've got to, haven't you? But the question marks for me over the defence. What lineup does he go for? What formation? 3, 5, 4? After, some players came in and showed some mettle on Monday, what does he do back there? Tough decisions.
3-5-4. I like that one. We've got more chance with that one.
But like Lee said, you've got to start your best players, haven't you? Surely.
Yes. Well, a shadow of a doubt. There's no time for mucking around. You're not looking at next season yet because you're still, in theory, got a chance at the playoffs. So you should not be giving squad members a game against Dartford Saturday. You've got to go for it.
Yeah, and we know it's going to be in front of a big crowd. A crowd that will expect a lot from the Dartford team. And we know what Steve King's sides are like as well. They're not particularly fun to play against. So you want your best and your most experienced players out there, I'd say.
They only had 2,700 on Monday.
Is that it?
Well, although that was a local derby, we have to say. So
it was a bit, yeah, against Maidstone. You were right on Friday, Lee. You said 3-0. You got it round the wrong way, unfortunately. You're going to be that bold for Saturday's game?
Tabs. I mean, just going back to what Jake said there, people are approaching us saying we're being sort of too negative. Do you want us to sort of come on here and say we're going to win every sort of game 10-0 like a couple of school kids? Just ridiculous. But I think we're going to get. I think it's going to be so tough. I think we're going to get a hiding the next sort of 2 games, and I'm genuinely concerned. Actually, I'm genuinely concerned because it could be anything. It could be anything. If we hold out and try and sort of stop any advances, I don't think we've got the players strong enough to do that. I don't think we've got the players or the ability to see out for like a cheeky 0-0 draw against a top side. I can't see anything other than a Dartford win. I honestly can't. And if we get a point, I will go up to each Saints player and shake their hand and apologise, because I can't see us getting anything there.
In many ways, it's a game because nobody expects us to win the way things are going. And Dartford still need to win because they want to get a home draw in the playoffs. Yes, we want to win because we want to get in the playoffs, but it's unlikely to happen. So really, the pressure is on them. And is it a case of us frustrating them? We do like to be defensive-minded, the way we play nowadays. So is it a case of going there and trying to frustrate them? Or should we play to what we perceive our strength to be, go and attack?
I hope we go there with the same mentality as we attacked Maidstone.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was some of our best football for a long time. We took the game to them and we caused them problems. Yes, Dartford are an excellent side and Dorking are a good side. But then, we're not talking about Barcelona here, fellas. They're in the same league as us, and they concede goals and they'll leak chances. But I think we've got to just stop mucking about, just go balls deep and just literally just absolutely commit to the game. Because otherwise, we could be on the end of a demoralising and embarrassing scoreline.
Yeah, I mean they've got two former Saints, Luke Allen and Junaid Mead, so they're both scoring, aren't they? So but you look at that Dartford team. I'm just looking at it now. There's some scary players in there. Jake Robertson, Samir Carruthers, Jack Jebb. Really worried, but as you say, Lee, you've got to go out there with the same approach as you did against Maidstone, minus the opening 5 minutes of madness of going two behind. You apply the rest of that 60-minute performance the Saints had that day against Dartford for 90. We have got a chance of picking up something, a scrap or two.
But the thing is, though, mate, considering that you missed the first two goals, technically you thought we won, so it's all good. So it's have that.
I like that. Maybe that's why Angry Man was so angry, because he thought they were losing. He'd missed the first two as well, maybe. But we've just got to go there with good approach. Just
good vibes, positive vibes,
good vibes. And I'm sure Ian would say this. You can build something off of Monday's draw. It wasn't a win, but it wasn't a defeat. You can build something from it, and I'm sure that's what he'd be looking to say to the lads going into Saturday. But we just know how difficult it's going to be.
So what score do your good vibes give us, Jake?
I'm going to go 1-1. I'll take a draw now. Result wise, again, you at this point, you need to be winning really, because Havant have got the fixtures that they're going to win. But I'd take a draw, absolutely.
Yeah, I think most people would. But hey ho, funny things happen.
I mean, I have to say, I'm much more worried about Dorking a week after than I am Dartford at the minute. But one game at a time.
That's the spirit, Jake.
Well, Dorking could be irrelevant by then. If it doesn't go right for a Saturday and haven't win again, we can forget it. It is all over. So then what do we do? Does Ian then look at his squad members for the Dorking game? But really, he knows everything about his players already, doesn't he? Surely, the squad he's got there.
Yeah, absolutely. But then, I don't know. We'll worry about that when it comes. We'll win 4-0 on Saturday against Dartford. I don't know what we'll even be talking about.
Do you want some good news?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Well, it's 100 years ago this month that we won the Athenian League for the last time. This is Harold Figg's medal. It's got his name there somewhere. There you go, the Athenian League. And all the players, they got a replica of the main Athenian League trophy. So there we go. We only got to go about 100 years, but it's a success. And also that year, Harold Figg had a trial for Aston Villa. And this is a programme from the game against Leeds United reserves. Aston Villa reserves versus Leeds United reserves. And Harold Figg's name is in there somewhere. That match was on, my glasses on. Oh, here we go. April 22nd, 1922. So almost 100
You were,
years ago.
what, 7, 8? Tabs?
About that, Lee. Yeah, about that, yeah.
It's not quite the good news I sort of expected or wanted at this point.
Yeah.
But happy anniversary winning the league, Saints. That we've got that, haven't we?
Positive vibes, Jake. Positive vibes.
Yes, it's positive vibes.
Exactly.
And we'll
puts us in the right frame of mind for Saturday, doesn't it?
Do you know what? We need to get Dave down to training and give the lads that speech, because that will inspire them.
You too could be like Harold Figg. Look what you could have won.
Yeah.
Look what you could do.
There we go.
Oh, good. Right.
There you go, Harold. Go back up there.
On that lovely note, if
we apologise. Yeah, we apologise for being continually being so negative, but we say what we see. So it's
right. I'm going to pick you up on that, Lee.
Here we go. Go on.
We are not negative. Just anybody who disputes it, just look at the results and look at the way we're playing. That is negative. We pick up on the high points, the good points in the games, the good performances by the players. But of course, we have to mention the bad stuff as well. Generally, we are upbeat. I mean, Jake even found something positive from Hampton. So there we go.
Absolutely. And we are a fans podcast at the end of the day. It's our views, the views of other fans. And yeah, that's it. And Lee's in shock at the passion. That's the most passion Dave's ever showed for anything.
I was going to say, we did that at the bloody fans forum, mate. We'd all be laughing by now. So, okay. So if, like my dad, you want to sort of, have a go at us back and highlight what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong, maybe you could get in touch with us. Jake, give them the Twitter handle, my friend.
Yeah, at a Podful of Saints. Let us know what you think, what you feel. Agree, disagree, all views welcome. And again, use the email as well, which Dave loves looking at, and just let us know what you think. And yeah, we just carry these positive vibes into Saturday's game against Dartford. And on that note, I think it's bye-bye from us, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll see you at Prince's Park.
Brilliant. Bye, everyone.
Take care.